Up next, we turn our attention over to the markets, and joining us, grain and livestock analyst Kyle Bumsted, right along the banks of the North Loop River. Love to have a marketing strategy or comment about the river flowing behind us. I can't come up with something yet, though, Kyle.
I can't either, but I'm sure there's going to be a lot of cows upstream drinking out of it here come this weekend and next weekend.
Yeah, no doubt about that. All right, let's talk on the grain market first. As you and I sit here midweek, talk about how you see particularly corn and soybeans.
It's a very good question, Bryce, and I've been talking with a lot of folks out there, growers and grain elevators alike. Historically, we get a 5 to 6 week rally in the spring, and a lot of analysts out there are going to say, well, we never make our highs in May, but we can go back and we can look and say there have been some years we've made our highs for the year in corn, at least the corn market in the month of May. So I stress to producers, it is time to be looking at that. You know, we just come off of the 3rd week higher. We're in the middle of the 4th week right now. Are we somewhat running into borrowed time? I think we are. I think by Memorial Day it's going to be a good idea to have something priced or at least a good chunk of it priced here Memorial Day weekend. And a lot of folks are worried about delayed planting, prevent plant, things like that. A little too early for that, and it's still way too early to be talking about a late season drought. So I am concerned here that moving forward that producers aren't going to be rewarding this rally like they should be.
You talking about getting new crop on the books, crop going on the ground right now?
Both, getting some new crop sold as well as getting the old crop cleaned up, because if we look at the basis has been it has improved up until about this past week, and I think a lot of that was just they wanted to get some coverage before planters started rolling. But as the planters have kind of been rained out, they've been able to get their corn, and the basis has kind of slipped here starting out the middle of the week here. We have seen the basis slip, both corn and soybeans.
Any particular factors that have been leading this rally, as you pointed out, about 4 weeks or so in?
Yeah, I think the non-commercials, they just basically covered shorts. We saw that when we look at the commitments traders, they basically just covered their shorts, and it wouldn't surprise me if they just build a very small long position, if they even go long corn, and then turn right back around and sell it. Just like the wheat market, there's been a lot of folks saying it's very bullish about Russia and the wheat market, but I can't really get bullish about a market that has 100% full commercial carry in it, which tells me if I'm a farmer or hedger, I need to be looking out there and rolling hedges out and capturing that premium.
Talk to me more about the wheat side. It's been interesting to watch those markets, I should say, not just one of them, over the past couple of months at this point.
That's a good question. That was one of those there where they got almost 2 or right at a record short there as far as Chicago wheat, and then they just started covering their shorts. And the whole time, the carry spreads didn't move. In fact, we're probably going to go back into variable storage rate here starting next week in VSR, and that's not bullish. That just tells us we've got a lot of wheat sitting here stateside, and there's just a lot of wheat in the world right now because the commercials aren't coming in to get it from us.
Define that term, the variable storage rate.
Yep, variable storage rate is it's an equation put together by the CME group as far as the amount of carry in the market from one month to the next, and when you simply got too much of it, they have a sliding scale of how they come up with that storage rate via interest and the interest rates, as well as storage rates and things like that. So it is something that I do encourage wheat producers to go look into because it does affect their bottom line.
Let's pause on the grain side, maybe come back to that later, but talk about the livestock markets. In particular, you'd like to talk about the cattle side. So for our live and feeder cattle contracts, pretty good midweek rally here again.
That's right. We have seen a good midweek rally, and it happened on a Tuesday. And, obviously on Tuesday, you're seeing the commercials or non-commercials, kind of tally up their books here for the commitments traders here on Friday. And it wouldn't surprise me if we're just kind of flat, maybe small buyers here in both fats and feeders here, depending on, kind of where those shake out Tuesday to Tuesday. But I looked this morning, we were under last Tuesday's close here before we get this wrapped up. Something that really caught my eye here was how the box beef market come back here early this week on Monday and Tuesday so far. We've gained back about $10, almost $11 here of the $20.80 drop we saw earlier here. And I think some of that is just some quick shifts, some quick fill-in here from last weekend. It was Mother's Day weekend, and some of these supermarkets and end users, retailers getting their stuff stocked back up here off the weekend. So I think once you get into Memorial Day, that's more of a hamburger hot dog type holiday, as is Father's Day and the 4th of July. So we have been on a pretty rough stretch here in this box beef market here. We are at a time where boxes need to be going up, and they need to be going up now because we're in that prime grilling season right now.
Everybody would love to put high-path avian influenza in the dairy side of things behind us in the rearview mirror. Cattle producer, of course, would love if we stopped talking about that going into the prime grilling months. What's your sense? Is that a news story that the industry is closely watching still that could have an impact on the markets?
Well, I think it's like other things we've had to live through in the past. The more you test for it, the more you're going to find it. And I just feel that personally, I I don't think it's going to affect anything. We just got to keep educating the consumer, saying, hey, if it's not going to get in the meat, we got to prove that it's not going to get in the meat, and if it's not going to be harmful, we got to prove it's not going to be harmful, which I haven't seen any evidence where it is harmful and it can get cooked out, so we got to educate the consumer.
All right, another piece of news. McDonald's bringing back the $5 meal deal. How about that?
That is interesting. I listened to that too on a news syndicate yesterday as well, and it's a little bit concerning because the terminology used was that's a corporation that's seeing people that are really tightening down. So bringing back a value meal like that says to me, do we have enough money, expendable income for high-end cuts of beef? And if they're bringing back something like that, that's a little bit concerning because they are a corporation like any of your big box stores. They know what the consumer's habits are before we out here in the country do. So they're going to see it firsthand. If they're bringing back something like that, that's a little bit concerning as far as high-end cuts of meat go. What's
your outlook for the livestock sector moving into these summer months?
It's a good question. I think that we're still going to be, this cattle market still has me a little bit perplexed. I'm not bullish, I'm not bearish right now, I'm very neutral. I don't have a lot of stance on it as we sit here today, other than with what it's costing to put cattle in the feed yard, you got to look at those bottom lines here, and you've got to have some sort of protection underneath them, because as we just talked about this PHPAI, there are these black swan events out there that we have no control over, and once those happen, you can see the market go down, limit down 2, 3, 4 days in a row, and it means nothing because it can.
All right, quick final word. Anything else in your mind this week, Kyle?
Well, I think everyone should take time here, and if they're running pretty hard, stay safe out there. Take a minute. Yes, we've had some rest here because of rain, but just stand back and breathe just a minute.